Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is all about educational beauty. Today's video is all about makeup artist hacks that actually work. So I'm going to be creating a whole look for you, and throughout that look I'm going to be showing you all the different hacks, and they actually work. And the great thing is you can actually see them as we're doing them, so you know that they work. I also do want to share that I have an online publication called Confessions of a Creative, where we cover various different topics, beauty included, self-help, entrepreneurship, culture, style, fashion, everything that I know you guys are going to love. And it's just easy to understand, and you get all these different kind of like articles sent over to your inbox, or you can check out the actual online publication. You've got two versions there: a free subscriber, you have occasional posts that get sent to you, you can check out the actual publication, or you have the option of the paid subscriber, which is only going to cost you around £1 a month, and you get some really in-depth detailed newsletters, stuff like the best concealer for every type of skin type. Like, I don't have the time, I would say, to be able to do that many videos on my YouTube channel. Like, I have every 3 days a new video, but there's only so much I can also cover. You know, there are so many topics, so I'm really covering a lot of that over on this. So you also get access to that as a paid subscriber, and you get a little room where we can chat with the rest of the paid subscribers. It's quite fun. I know you guys are going to love it, so please do head over there, subscribe, and show me some support and love, and say hi. And also, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos, and head over to Instagram so you can catch me there too. I think it's about time that we head into this video. So here we are, no makeup on. The only thing I have on is my moisturizer and my eye cream. Now we're going to be actually going through from the beginning all the way through to the end of this makeup look using different hacks that makeup artists use. So it isn't just going to be one hack here, one hack there. I'm creating an entire look and showing you as we go along all of these hacks that you can use and you can utilize or incorporate into your own makeup routine. Let's get started. I am going to be sculpting my face first. So this is, again, you may or may not call it a hack, but it is something that a lot of makeup artists do use, and I'm going to be using a concealer. So I'm using a dark concealer to sculpt my face. Now the reason we use a concealer is because it sits really, really well onto the skin. You're not going to get that muddiness. It's a concealer that's meant to kind of cover. So you're kind of getting that coverage, but you're also sculpting the face. The second part of this hack is that we are going to be doing it underneath our foundation. Now I know you can call this underpainting, which it is what it is. It is underpainting, but it is still quite unknown, I think, for a lot of people. So you could potentially call this a hack. It is basically sculpting underneath your foundation for that soft focus effect. So what I'm going to be doing is grabbing hold of my dark concealer, and I'm using my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm going to apply this in all these areas. Now, another part of this hack is that this actually helps to lift your face. And I'll explain to you why, because if you see, I'm actually applying everything in the same direction. Now, because we're actually doing this underneath our foundation, it's okay if you get a little bit heavy-handed with this, because we are going to kind of cover it up with foundation. Now, I hear some of you saying, well, isn't the foundation just going to cover everything up? Not if you use a light to medium coverage foundation. Now I'm going to get my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood complexion brush, and I am basically going to just buff this. Now my aim is to make sure that it stays in the same place, but it's kind of like still obvious that it's there. We don't want it to like completely disappear. See, all of that, you can see it now, right? But it's buffed in so the edges are not so harsh. Let's do the same here. And we're going to do the same here as well. Now, I'm going to get my concealer. Now, I'm using my NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Ginger, and I'm going to use my finger for this. So because it's in a pot, I'm just going to warm it up with my finger, and I'm going to apply this to certain areas to help kind of like open up that whole area, and it's going to also work hand in hand with that sculpting we've just done. Go down the nose. I'm just going to touch the tip a little bit with it. You can see how that's kind of shaped my nose there. Don't be afraid to use your fingers. If you're going to use your fingers, it's better to work with a kind of like a concealer similar texture to this, which is kind of like I would say compact cream, so not liquidy. It's much easier. I know you could say it's just using a different kind of like part, like a different tool. You're not using a brush or the wand, but honestly, I cannot tell you how much I think this is a great kind of hack, because rather than using a brush, you're letting the warmth of your finger really kind of melt that into the skin and shape your face. We're going to take it up there. Can you see that the face is like slowly being sculpted now? And I love how this concealer has really kind of melted into the skin. So when we go over with that foundation, I don't feel like it's a thick amount. I feel like it's really kind of like, this is really pressed into the skin. Now I'm also going to lift here, because can you see I've got that really nice lift here, but now I want all this to kind of go up as well. I always feel like when you're using your finger, it's much easier to kind of like get the shape that you want to. I'm going to do the other side. Now this little hack, basically painting with fingers, other than the dark section, you can use, if you have like this concealer and in a much darker shade, you could use this for the darker parts of your face. But using your fingers really helps to kind of like melt the product into your skin, and you just feel like you've got more control. So if you generally don't find it easy to sculpt and things like that, I would highly recommend this technique, because it honestly is going to make your life so much easier, and you're going to feel like, wow, why didn't I try this before? Now this is the next hack that, like I said, this, what I've already shown you, is, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hack, but it's a technique that will definitely work for you. But this one is a hack. This is where we're going to mix our foundation in with a gel-based primer and now apply it on top. So you're probably wondering, well, why didn't I apply the primer beforehand? You could apply it beforehand, but this hack gives you a super smooth finish. So when you're doing something like underpainting like this, and then you go over with your foundation mixed in with your primer, it actually gives you a much smoother finish, and it just kind of like avoids it looking so heavy. That primer also helps to kind of like keep everything in place, like even better. So I'm mixing my NARS Sheer Glow foundation in with my gel-based primer. I've got my sponge, and I'm now going to take some of this product, buff it into the back of my hand, and I'm going to start going over my face. And you're going to see that all of this kind of like underpaint, this sculpting that we did, is all going to come through. You're going to still see it, but just not as kind of like harsh. See how that's still coming through? Now I haven't done my eyelids, but what I'm going to do is whatever's left on this sponge, I'm just going to take it over my eyelids, so we don't need to go over with such heavy concealer. And because there's a primer kind of mixed in, that's going to help to keep it all in place too. So that's your next little hack. Use the residue for the eyelids, because the primer will help to keep it like put. Now we're going to set this, so I'm just going to take my powder and basically press this in. First off, I'm going to do my lids here, and then very quickly dust this off. There you go. My lids are done now. Now I'm just doing my under eyes, and I'm not doing anywhere else. So I'm going to dust this off. Now what you can do, which is what I do, this is a little hack for you, I basically use the powder on all the areas that I know are going to end up creasing up. Like for example, here, you know, on the sides of the nose. So I do that, and I leave all the other areas because I kind of want a slightly kind of healthy glow finish there, but I don't want to add highlight. So what I actually do is I use my blush to give me that highlight, and I'll explain how in a second. Now that we've done this, you can see that that contour, that sculpting is still coming through. So hopefully that's shown you how that can make a huge difference with the finished look of the face. And honestly, this is going to stay put now because we've mixed that gel primer in with that foundation, and our concealer is sitting right at the bottom just after our moisturizer. So that primer is also going to help to like keep everything in. Now I'm going to take the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick, and this one is in dark. And the reason I'm not using a concealer here is because I actually don't want this to be, there's no coverage involved. It's just kind of like just contouring. It's not any coverage, and I'm not fussed about like staying power or anything like this. Now what I'm going to do is take my finger here on the stick, and I am going to apply press just on my upper lip line and also there. So I've basically applied it. Focus on pressing actually on the lip line. So right at the top and right at the bottom. And what that's going to do is that's going to actually make my lips look bigger that way. So that's giving it a very, very subtle shadow there. That's going to help to make the lips look a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to take my Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Anywhere Caffeine. And I'm now going to line my lips as normal. But what I'm going to do is actually go kind of on the upper part of my lip line. So don't go on the lip line, but very tiny bit above, but not so much that you're missing your lip line. And then everywhere else, like on the sides, we're going to stick to our normal natural lip line. I'm only going to focus on this and this section being a little bit above, like tiny bit on the top part of the lip line. Okay, now I'm going to go on my normal lip line. Okay, we've lined the lips. You can already see how that shadow that we put initially has helped to make the lips look bigger there. Now I'm going to just smudge it kind of like inwards. And this little technique gives you a really kind of like natural lip line. It doesn't look like, oh wow, she's overlined her lips. So always like smudge the lip line a little bit. Now instead of using lipstick, what I do is I use a lip balm. This is actually my Rhode Peptide Lip Treatment. A little bit in the center there. And that is your little hack for very natural looking plump lips. So you don't have to go through the whole lip liner thing of making it look very strong and like harsh. It can look very natural, but we still manage to make the lips look much bigger. I am going to very quickly do my brows and I'm using my Goof Proof powder. And this is just so that we can get on with the next hack. So I am literally just going to very quickly do this. So give me a second. Now that my brows are done, I'm going to move on to the eye hack. I'm going to be using a sculpting stick to actually create an eyeshadow look. So I'm using my Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt in dark, and I'm going to use my E45 brush. This is in my brush set from Sigma Beauty. You also have a discount code that you can use on that brush set. It's an eye set, which I recommend because I use these brushes all the time. So many different eye looks that you can create with it, and they're all in one set, much cheaper than buying them individually. So make sure you check that out. It's in the description below. And I'm going to use this brush to basically apply this to my eyelid. Now what I'm going to be doing is creating like a really nice feline look. So I'm going to start from the end of my lash line and very lightly drag it out. And I'm kind of like creating a darker outer corner of the lid. So I want this whole section here to be kind of nice and smoky with this brown shade. Now the reason this is a hack is because what you're doing is you're using a sculpting stick that you're already happy with in terms of the color, complementing your skin tone. So this actually makes this whole eye look way more kind of natural. You know, sometimes you struggle, and you can use your finger as well, by the way, to blend. You know, sometimes you struggle to find the right kind of browns for a smoky eye look. The trick is go for your sculpting products, anything you use to kind of sculpt your face, because it's just the perfect brown to be able to like give you that really nice sculpted look without looking like terracotta or like too orangey on your skin. It's perfect for your eyes to create a really soft sculpted look on the eyes, or a soft smoky look. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to do the other side as well. So I always kind of like go inwards and then I like gradually fade it out. I am so happy with this. So what I'm going to do now is take a smaller brush from Sigma, and I'm going to take this underneath my eyes here, like into my kind of like lower lash line. Now what I'm going to do is take my concealer that I use. So I'm using my NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Ginger. I'm using my E55 brush, and I'm going to take a little bit onto this brush, put it onto the back of my hand. This is going to really open up the eye. So what I'm going to do is like take this along the beginning of the like lid, not really focusing on going above the crease. And just tapering it into that end part that we applied of that dark shade, and then using my finger to kind of like blend it. And what this does, it stops the whole eye looking so dark. So it just opens it up a bit. And you can also take this on the inner corner just to brighten up that area. Now, if you're worried about that creasing, go into your setting powder with your Real Techniques setting brush. Very light dusting of powder, and basically just dust it on top of this. And that's going to help to set it. But you've got that really nice kind of like smoky look that looks like you haven't actually got eyeshadow on. So that's the great thing. This is a great hack because what it is it's basically infusing that eyeshadow look into your base. So you're not actually applying any kind of like powder eyeshadow or cream eyeshadow. You're applying concealer like a sculpting stick, and it's melting right into the skin, and then you're setting it with powder. So it's just part of your whole look. Everything is one. If you want, you can add eyeshadow on top, just as like an eyeliner, for example. I'm going to use my Sigma eyeliner brush, which is in my eye kit, and I'm using my Beauty Bay Nude 16 color eye palette. I'm going to use the black here, and I'm basically going to create a little wing because I really want to show you how, once you've done this eye base, how you can just carry on with eyeliner or whatever you want on top. So I use my finger to just drag it out if I need to. There, I'm happy with that. I don't take the eyeliner all the way across because I just feel like I don't need it. Now, another little hack I'm going to show you is you're going to take that black eyeshadow. We're going to use the BK Beauty 204 brush, and I'm going to press into that black eyeshadow. And what I'm going to do is push it into my upper lash line, but from the bottom part of the lash. And that's going to really give the illusion of thicker lashes. So if you feel like sometimes your whole look, like your eyeliner or your mascara, can look a little bit disconnected from your upper lash line, use this little hack and it's going to work wonders for you. So what this does is, because we didn't actually apply that eyeliner all the way in, we only applied it from the out, like half part, like the last half of the eyelid. What this does is it stops that eyeliner from also looking disconnected, because what you've got is it looks like you've just got ultra thin eyeliner all the way across, but you haven't actually applied anything to the upper lash line. So if you look here, look how thicker that, like how much thicker that looks, and look at this, right? So now what we're gonna do is do the same here, really press it into the upper lashes. You really want to focus into the root of the lash. You're kind of painting the lower lash line, but from underneath, from the root outwards. I'm going to clean this brush, and I'm actually using my brush pad from Sigma, which is a part of my eye kit, by the way, that you can get from Sigma Beauty. Use Nina Ubhi 10 and you'll get discount off of that as well. So this comes in the eyeshadow set. Well, the eyeshadow brush set, and it basically means that you don't need to kind of wash your brush. Well, you obviously do eventually, but if you're doing different looks and you want to use the same brush, you can take the product off. And that was black, right? And now there's nothing on this brush. So now what I'm going to do is take that brown, and I'm going to basically do that exact same thing but on my lower lashes. So what I'm doing is touching the top part of the root of my lash and pressing into the root. Rather than going on the skin, what this is doing is actually thickening, like making your lower lash line look a bit more defined without actually applying eyeshadow on your skin. So this is another little hack for you. I love how this gives you definition without actually having to apply eyeshadow on the skin, because it doesn't look like, oh yeah, like when you go close up, like, oh, she's got eyeshadow there. It just looks like, how did you define that without it looking so harsh? I'm going to use my MAC Stack mascara now, and I'm just going to apply this from the root of my lash. Really kind of like focusing on more of a kind of like winged lash. So focusing on the outer part more. I'm still applying it all over, but really focusing on this end section here. This mascara is really good for just quick and easy mascara without having to spend too much time on your lashes. So hopefully that's shown you how you can like utilize different hacks to create this kind of eye look or something similar. I personally love this type of eye look. It's really feline, looks really kind of sultry, it's nice. And it doesn't look obvious, like when you come close up, it doesn't look like, wow, like she's got so much eyeshadow on. Now I'm going to add some blush. I'm going to be using a liquid blush from Beauty Bay called Reef. Now it's very, very pigmented. So what I'm going to be doing is adding this to the back of my hand, and it's quite a neon shade. I don't want it to be so obvious on my skin. So what I'm going to be doing is taking my foundation that I used, taking a tiny drop of that and kind of mixing it into that blush. Now taking the back of my beauty blender and I'm going to add it just here. And because I didn't apply powder on these bits, like I left it quite kind of like bare, not so much powder, because I wanted this to give me that kind of like glowy look. And because we waited a while after we've set the face, it kind of like brings out a really nice glow to the face. I like that. Now the part that I'm really kind of interested in you guys understanding about the blush hack is two parts. One is mixing it with foundation so it looks like it's just sitting into your skin. Number two is that you actually apply a little bit on your under eye area here, not right there, but more kind of here. And what that does is it helps to give you more of a lifted look. It actually helps to take the attention away from darkness on the under eye area. So that's another hack for you. So applying it a little bit on the under eye area, again, not in the center of the face, more towards this area, takes your attention away from any kind of hollowness or darkness of the under eye area. So I hope that helps you too. Now, another little thing you can do is take a bit of that concealer and blush mix and just kind of press it. We've already done our lips, but this is so that you have that kind of like undertone to it, which kind of almost matches your cheeks, but it doesn't. You know when you don't want that kind of matchy look, so you don't want to add the same color on your lips. You just want to kind of add almost like a tinge of color, so it's very, very subtle, almost like a watercolor. So our lips are already done, and the point is once they're done, if you've got that lip balm on, you can just add a tiny bit of that color where it's actually not so visible, just to the center. And then what it does is it's basically the same shade, but a different transparency of it. So it's very, very light in comparison to the blush that you have on your cheeks, but it's still from the same color. So this last hack is something for those of you who want to be adventurous with your bold or bright eyeshadow colors, but you actually don't want to attract extra attention. You don't want unnecessary attention. You don't want anyone looking at you thinking, oh my God, she's wearing blue eyeshadow, yellow eyeshadow, whatever. You just want to kind of blend in the background and just have a little bit of adventurous kind of like play around with your eye makeup, but you don't want it to be too obvious. This is a good way to wear bright, bold eye colors, but in a subtle way. So I'm going to be using that peacock shade in this eyeshadow palette, which is actually from Florasis, and it's probably the most beautiful palette I've ever seen in my life. It's the Floral Engraving Phoenix Makeup Palette. I will be doing a kind of another tutorial using this palette. I haven't managed to yet, but I'm going to use my BK Beauty 204 brush, dip it into that peacock shade, and now what I'm going to be doing is applying this on my waterline, so pressing down into the lash on my lower lash. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So you can press like I have there. Hopefully you guys couldn't see this. So there's two ways you can do this. Either you can do what I've just done, which is you do it in the center of the waterline on the lower lash line, press into the waterline into the root of your lower lash, and that's enough, and leave it at that. So you've got this little section here right in the middle. Because it's eyeshadow, the edges are not solid, so it's not like a pencil where it's like you can see the start and the end. It's an eyeshadow, so it's very subtle on the edges. The edges are already going to be soft once you apply it with a brush. So you can actually use your finger if you want to too, but I would suggest using a brush. You apply it on your waterline, drag it into the root of the lower lash, and then you're done. So you could apply it just there like I have there. I think that's actually quite a nice effect. It's not the obvious all the way across, just in the center there. Or you can apply it all the way across, and then you've got a bit more, it's a bit more obvious then, but not as obvious as applying it on your upper eyelid. So this is a good way to kind of use color on your eyes without it looking like crazy or too much. Like I'm that person. I don't like wearing overly bright eyeshadows. I don't like it looking like putting it all over my whole lid. It's not really me, and unless I'm going to an event event or something, like day to day, or if I'm like, I don't know, going on date night with my husband, I don't want it to be all in. I just want maybe something, but something that's really subtle. So this is another thing that you can do. It's a really easy way of infusing color into your eye makeup without it looking overly dramatic. So yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed this whole look and all the hacks that you've learned throughout this whole look. It was definitely fun for me to create, and I hope you guys have loved it as much as I have. And if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.